If I had to give this a little like one-line pitch, I would say Hunger Games meets Willy Wonka. I thought what I'd do today is not just read you this piece of work that may be very unpolished and a little bit odd. I thought I'd also give my opinions on what I might do differently now. Howdy, it's Kaale and welcome back to my writing channel. It has been 1 year since I first started posting videos on YouTube, so I thought I'd do something a little bit different. Today I'm going to have a look at a piece of writing that I did, I want to say 6 years ago perhaps, when I was starting to experiment with my writing. I was starting to take it a little bit more seriously, but nowhere near to the degree that I do now. And I had just started finding little competitions and things like that. So what I want to talk to you about today is a competition called New York Midnight. You probably may have heard of it. I can say it was probably the reason why I started taking my writing more seriously. It meant I had to be a little bit more inventive with my writing, and it made me kind of branch out from just the horror shorts that I was producing. I mean, I do still produce horror shorts and I love doing them, but I think this competition made me look at it from a different angle. New York Midnight, if you don't know, is a website you can go on for multiple competitions, and depending on which competition you're doing, they'll give you different things to do. So for this particular competition, I had to write, I think it was 1,000 words, and they gave me the genre, and it was my very first one of theirs, and I was taken by surprise because I thought, oh great, I'd like to experiment and try some new genres. And they gave me political satire, which is quite a difficult one in my opinion to execute anyway, let alone for somebody who was a little bit green like I was at the time. But the reason why I'm pulling this piece of work out now is that it's one of the pieces that was the most experimental that I've ever done, and therefore possibly one of the cringiest pieces I've ever done, excluding like fanfic when I was like 12, because you know everyone's done some cringy fanfic at some point. This was called Candy Coloured Desperation. The aim actually was for me to get the feedback that comes with it, because of they give 3 lots of positives and 3 lots of negatives, and I found in my time with them that whenever I entered I always got pretty good feedback. It was kind of, you know, thought through, and I really appreciated it. This particular piece, like I said, they gave me the genre of political satire. I believe they also forced me to use the word doormat. And I can't quite remember this, but I feel like I was cornered into doing the candy thing. Kind of like a candy shop or a factory or something. I've not read it in a while, which is part of the reason why I'm doing this. It's kind of like a cold read for the first time in many years. So I had to work around some of these things that I thought were kind of a bizarre collection. I've printed it out here. I've been trying really hard not to take sneak peeks of it when I was printing, because I wanted this to be a genuine sort of cold read and have my genuine reactions while I'm reading it to you. And I thought what I'd do today is not just read you this piece of work that may be very unpolished and a little bit odd. I thought I'd also give my opinions on what I might do differently now. Is there anything differently I would do about the language, form, structure, all that sort of stuff? So my plan here is to read through and tell you anything other than the non-negotiables. If I had to keep those, what else would I do differently? So let's begin having a read through. Just an inch closer. That's all it would take. 1 more inch. Tom restrained himself from leaning too close to her. If she suspected anything, it was game over, and he couldn't afford that. She was the last one. Now the opening's pretty decent, I guess. Like, it sort of is in media res, which is great. I do love doing that still. I think if I'd reread this now, it would be a bit more sensory, thinking about like how hot and sweaty he is, how comfortable his skin feels, maybe the itchiness of his clothes is clearly preparing to do something he doesn't want to do. Saying she was the last one, I like the ambiguity of it. I think I'd probably throw a little other nugget in there at this point as well, but let's keep going. Peering down at the sweet shop doormat, there we go, it was a doormat, she took a deep breath. Her small eyes scanned the area, looking for danger. They passed over the point Tom had fixed his own eyes upon and swept once more around the room. Tom hardly dared to breathe. Proving it had been nothing more than a cursory glance, she turned and gave a nod. She had missed it. I think this bits are too vague. She'd missed something. I believe from... I'm trying to reach back in my memory, there's some sort of trap or something he's spotted that she's going to fall into, and he's quite willing and prepared for her to fall into that trap. There needs to be a couple more clues for the reader, because if me reading it back after all this time, if I can't remember exactly what it is that she's missed, then I think it's going to be too difficult for the reader. Also, no, you can't see this, but I'll probably show you some clips afterwards. In terms of formatting, I've gone for the double speech mark. I'd probably go for the single speech mark these days. Layout seems a little bit higgledy-piggledy. I think I'm going for some really short paragraphs because it's supposed to be punchy. I don't have a lot of word count to get across this idea that frankly is a little bit insane, and I kind of was cornered into a little bit. If I rewrote it now, there's very few short paragraphs I'd probably still keep. I'd probably blend some of them together. I think it's safe. As the words left her mouth and her hand moved out to point, her short body instinctively leaned forward. Tom's eyebrows hitched upwards and he felt a jolt of adrenaline hit his body. Now! So the now is the bit I'd keep. Unbidden, his right hand rose towards her shoulder as his left made its way to the wall by his hip, quickly finding its intended target. His hand contacted her threadbare shirt as he thumped the lever. Lever? I've watched so much American TV, I think it's poisoned my mind. I don't know which one. I think it's lever, isn't it? Dearie me. And then there's a big old gap because of I'm clearly jumping back in time to what prompted him to be here. But I still don't think we've had enough clues to figure out that what he's about to do is something like violently sinister, and we've got no idea yet that this is a child murder competition. I think Hunger Games conveyed that a lot better. Anyway, so we jump back in time, and I do like that. Playing around with time is something that I'm still playing with. The bin lorry has arrived on my street now. Excuse me while I have a brief hiatus. After some tea, let's carry on. Scores of children had lined up on the day of the local selection, one sunken face after another waiting in line for their kind donation from the government, each eager to get their hands on their share. Now, I actually like the first part of this, the scores of children and the local selection, the sunken faces, one after the other. I kind of like the image there. This is me trying to do political satire, not very well. The kind donation from the government, clearly it's not a kind donation, it's just, a really empty, rubbish gesture. And they're also eager because they're hungry, but I don't think I'm conveying that well enough. Proud supporters of Gibson's cabinet, Gibson, stood at each checkpoint. They loved his promises of cheaper trade and minimisation of immigration, both of which he had cheerily accomplished within a few short months. Do they not know I'm trying to keep in the flow of a story here? It might not be great, but I'm trying. It was easy to see how well these agendas had been met by the rapidly thinning shoulders hunched in the queue and the sallow tint that painted the citizens' tired but smiling faces. Again, I quite like that. I've always been a big fan of describing bodies to try and convey something on the inside about the drudgery and misery that they're going through. Trade was indeed cheap, the cheapest ever, in fact. And why wouldn't it be? Portion sizes were revolutionarily tiny, and revolutionarily, that's quite hard to say. Not sure I'd keep that. And the government had thankfully done away with that silly daily nutritional recommendation and had replaced it with a far more practical method. Eat whatever you were given. Now, I kind of like that. You can definitely feel the Animal Farm, the milk and apples. I don't have much reference material to work with, I'm sorry. How foolish a diet of fresh vegetables and fruit seemed now that households could be self-assured in the knowledge that they were being provided for by Gibson himself. Not many countries could boast the same. And as for immigration, that problem had solved itself, with international relations dwindling due to lack of trade and ridiculous media propaganda putting off potential migrants. Few people made the choice to come over the border. Genius, really. I feel like saying ridiculous media propaganda putting off potential migrants, I would have said kind of the opposite for the political satire, because this in itself should be a piece of propaganda. I'd definitely tweak that, that doesn't really work. And now came Gibson's latest poverty-tackling idea. Vouchers! Exclamation mark. Very dramatic. Vouchers for every child, allowing them to feast on a rainbow of delights. Nice imagery there. No child in the line was as eager nor as desperate as Tom. I'd probably show how eager and desperate Tom is. I think one of the reasons why this story is so stale is that it's so narrative. Like, I get that's where I can put the political satire in, but maybe I should have Tom and I think his mum's with him, talking things through to show that political satire. Political satire. I just don't think telling you stuff works at all. Even I'm getting a little bit bored right now. His heavy legs were dragged up the stairs. You can clearly tell I never once read this out loud to myself because, my goodness me, I'm tripping over everything. Just as a side note, I do try and make a habit now of playing things back to myself. In fact, I've just spent the last 2 days looking at my first 3 chapters of my first novel before I submit it. Instead of reading it out loud myself, I've got that really kind of irritating Microsoft Word voice reader doing it for me, because it's so easy to skip over words and not notice mistakes and weird bits when you're doing it yourself. But I would always recommend just reading it out loud, because you're going to spot things that you wouldn't spot yourself, which clearly, proof is in the pudding. His heavy legs were dragged up the 2 steps and into the vibrant shop. And dragged up. I get the impression he's dragging them because he's so tired and weak. Because it's passively, his heavy legs were dragged up the 2 steps. It sounds a bit like someone's pulling him up. I'm getting visions of guards pulling him, but that is clearly not where I was going with this, so that makes it confusing. There was a sizable sweet counter stacked with the promised coupons. However, his eyes had stuck like glue, a bit cliche, to the bright colours of the sweets in hundreds of jars around him. Side note, I would have loved describing the sweet shop, because when I was a kid in primary school, one of my goals was to become an owner of a sweet shop. Not just any old sweet shop though. My plan was to run a Victorian sweet shop, because I total thing for the Victorian era. A Victorian sweet shop that had a doggy daycare in the back. No sanitary issues looked at and dealt with whatsoever. I wanted what I wanted. I wanted sweets and I wanted dogs. His gaunt mother pushed him forward quicker, excited to take Gibson's welcome gift, her eyes solely on the voucher stack. I do kind of like that I've got the contrast between Tom and his kind of reluctancy, I guess, he's dragging his feet up, whereas his mum, who's been in this life a lot longer, she's a little bit more excited for this opportunity, no matter how rubbish it is. Hello? It's my dog. Sorry. It's alright, baby. Just the neighbour. No, it's not. It's the postman. Sorry, sexist. Post a woman. She just going round the back gate of their house. So nosy. I think I'm safe to continue. How many interruptions am I going to get in this? I swear the world knows that this isn't a great piece of writing, just trying to stop me from reading it out loud. Almost like summoning Bloody Mary or something. Read Candy Coloured Desperation 3 times and you'll end up with a monster. Tom Scavoy? Scavoy. What is with these names? Scarvo. Tom Scarvo from Desperate Housewives. Oh my god, is that where I got the name? That's a bit embarrassing, isn't it? Oh dear. Tom Scavoy said his mother to the rather fat-looking town councilman. He looked up from his papers, his round eyes peering at her from above ruddy-looking cheeks. I do have a thing about someone being a bit podgy in some of these. Even now, I think I go to types and I need to work on my stereotypes. Tom could see the top voucher decorated with candy cane swirls along the side. The £5 coupon to spend in the candy shop. I think it was written to be more dramatic than it really is. His mother's eyes followed and her mouth split into what Tom thought must be a smile, though it seemed more jagged and strained than his own. I do like faces splitting into uncomfortable smiles in my stories, or uncomfortable expressions. I don't know what it is about the splitting. That's quite nice, I like that. After all, why shouldn't she be smiling? By the way, I have a love affair with rhetorical questions in particular. My editor, they pointed out how often I bring out the question mark. There was one solid edit after that where I literally went through and just tried to delete as many of the questions as possible, particularly the rhetorical questions, because if it's a genuine question that she's asking someone else, that's fine. And I guess the evidence is here that love affair with the question mark started real early. Gibson was going to feed her son, giving them a lifeline, something she herself had been unable to do. And Tom couldn't wait to feast on the shiny pleasures around him. I don't like that phrase. That feels really uncomfortable. I don't know what it is about the shiny pleasures around him. I get what I was trying to do. The sweets are all glossy and it's really exciting, but that sits uncomfortably. He imagined the full belly he would feel for the first time. Yeah, not to mention the sickness. If you've not eaten lots and you're going to eat a buttload of sweets, you'll be vomiting. He's not anticipating that, is he? His mother looked down at the floor, that smile stretching forcibly and more hideously across her cheeks into rupture. Ooh. Her eyes were blank. Her shoulders seemed to sag further. I don't know if I like that contrast. I'd have phrased it differently, but I kind of like this forced smile, like this rictus of a grin. But I'm not sure I like it immediately being followed by her eyes were blank, full stop. Her shoulders seemed to sag further, full stop. I just feel like they're at odds with each other. I don't like that. Don't like that at all. And also an abnormal lot of adverbs, I think, throughout this piece. So like the hideously and forcibly, I'd never do that now. It's too many. The force, oh, there we go. So we've got the forcibly followed by the force. Clearly I was not looking at word repetition. The force member that had been in charge of the final checks at the door brought forward a tablet with information. Upon receiving the tablet, the town councilman compared his paperwork with the information presented. He grinned up at them. "Congratulations! You're our first contender," the man boomed across the shop. He was a contender? I've done an exclamation mark and a question mark, one after the other. And I know you can, but I don't want to. I don't like it. Rather than him repeating back what's been said, having this kind of sick feeling in his stomach or some sort of apprehension or something, I don't know. But I wouldn't be, he was a contender? Question mark, exclamation mark. This was it. Gibson's face smiled down upon him from a giant poster on the wall. Tom was going to have his chance. And by golly, he promised silently he was going to win. By golly, that doesn't sound like a teenager would say by golly. And then we've got a nice big gap again, because clearly we're going to go back to the present. But I haven't done anything other than a massive gap. I think that, particularly with this being such a sudden switch, I don't feel like it's a nice, neat end to that point in time. I'd probably be tempted now to do like some little dots or something to signify that this is a jump cut forward in time. Unlike the whining twins beside him, Tom knew the gift he was being given today. That he was lucky that he and the other 9 children had been hand-selected by Gibson to receive this chance for prosperity and sustenance. I'm getting the vibe of District 1 in the Hunger Games, how they are really excited to be there and they're like, oh, it's an opportunity, woo! But I just don't think it's being conveyed in the same kind of sickly way, like almost as if I'm trying to encourage the reader to agree that this is a wonderful opportunity, and actually we're trying to tell the opposite, that this is kind of stupid and pointless. Fighting to the death. So ridiculous, isn't it? Fighting to the death, basically, to be able to eat sweets instead of actual proper food. I get why I went with this, but it's such a ridiculous story. I'm sorry I'm putting you through it. If they made their way out, if they could solve their way through the traps of the candy cane front doormat. Doormat's back again. I couldn't do it just once, clearly. I had to pop it in once more. Bit of a motif going. Starvation would be a long forgotten memory. The sweet shop would be theirs. Ooh, Willy Wonka. Years of full bellies and full bellies. Bloody hell, you'd have diabetes after years of eating nothing but sweets. It'd probably kill you off. Financially stable family members kick-started with cashing in every voucher from each child in the town. His mouth watered with the promise of money for food. Okay, yeah, so they don't just have to eat the sweets. I suppose they could just sell the sweets to the kids who are starved. Who are they selling to? It's a bit like in Hunger Games when you've got Peter and he's a baker's boy. Who's buying the tarts and decorated cakes in District 12? They are starving to death. Silently he scanned the cramped stockroom, taking in his competitors. They chatted and planned with each other, making promises to work through this as a team and share the prize. Each was as bedraggled and scrawny. Bedraggled. Not used that word in a while, bedraggled. And scrawny is the last. The diet of their childhoods taking its toll on their bodies, just like his. Though he had one thing they did not. Resolve. Again, a lot of narrative. Why am I not showing the difference between him and his children rather than just telling us? It's a bit boring to look through. He was not as foolish as these children. Why does he think they're foolish? What is it about them that he thinks is foolish? I can tell that we're coming to the end and the word count was running low because there isn't a lot of explanation or showing. I know there's a whole thing about show don't tell, and I have thoughts on that. It has a time and place, and the time and place was now. They didn't do it. He knew what was at stake. What was shared between 10 for years could be kept for one for a lifetime. He knew what he had to do. Lots of short sentences. I think because I was trying to work through a lot of grammatical snafus, my way of solving it was by doing lots of short sentences, and it just feels a bit, it's not punchy, it just feels a little bit like bleh, 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 bleh. There was no such thing as solidarity in the Thunderdome. The Thunderdome? We've changed franchise now! Blimey hell. As the timer began to tick down, he gritted his teeth. He grit his teeth and tensed, ready to begin. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. He set his eyes upon his first target. 1. And then it stops. I would say that the opening and ending were supposed to marry together quite well, and I don't think they do. The opening is another jump cut, I think, from the ending. I think it goes 3, 2, 1, and it's supposed to, some other things are supposed to happen. I guess all the kids are supposed to, die in some traps, but I don't make that clear. and then it jumps to the beginning, so the cyclical structure, which I do love a cyclical structure. But I don't think that him talking about this girl and saying things are safe and that he's thumping the button to do something to it, it's just too vague, isn't it? So yeah, whilst I appreciate Past Me for the attempt, it is kind of limping its way to the finish line. I think I could have had more dialogue in there to solve some of these issues about this constant long narration, and I could have just had more action, a lot more doing rather than telling. Show, don't tell. And the ending was supposed to be dramatic, but I think it just wound up being a little confusing. So I've shared my rubbish with you. Anybody care to share theirs? One of the reasons I did this was because I wanted to show that not everything you write is gold. I can't remember the feedback now, I have it saved somewhere in my emails, but it did genuinely help me improve as a writer, and the proof is the fact that I look back at that and cringe. If I look back at that and I think everything is fabulous, well, I've not moved on, I've stagnated. Because once upon a time, I think I just had this idea that I was a writer, and that was it. But being a writer is far more than just writing. Being a writer is being an editor as well, and I very rarely edited my earliest pieces when I was in my early 20s, and this piece would have been from sort of my late 20s, where I would have given it a pass over. Now, I will say that there was a time limit with this. I want to say it was either 48 or 24 hours, and you don't get your brief until that kind of time starts. So you get told you're going to have this as your brief, you know, the political satire, the doormat, all that sort of stuff. Go. And it's got to be ready for only a day or so later. I know that I had a time crunch, and maybe I could have edited more, but I think even in the time I had, I would have spent a lot less time on the actual writing and plot. And I think I made it simpler, actually, and more direct and to the point, knowing that I had a time crunch. That's what I'd do now. I'd make it a little bit more simplistic so that I had more chance to play around with editing and play around with language, imagery, censors. I love playing with the censors, and I really can't see it much in this piece at all, and that's very unlike me. Keep practicing, get better, because I'd like to think that my writing has progressed quite a bit from there. I think maybe I'll read something a bit newer to you guys in a future video, so you can see some of the contrasts between what I would have produced back in there and something that I'd be a bit more comfortable like showcasing to my writer group now. In fact, that's another reason probably why I'm improving as well, because of sharing my work not just with people who are going to give me feedback in competitions, but the Writers HQ forum, my 2 writing groups. I don't recommend just turning to friends and family. You do need to kind of branch out, even if it isn't face to face, even if it's online. And these days I've got so many people through email that, you know, I may have met face to face or just know through Writers HQ, where I send them short stories, I send them sections of my novel. I've got a collab group that I participate in with Nottingham Writers Studio, and obviously I've got the Nottingham Writers Studio itself and the Ashbourne Writers Group that I share my work with when I go. And it doesn't have to just be the thing that they've put a prompt for, it could be any piece. So I always get some nice feedback, you know, some criticism as well as some nice things that pull out things that I hadn't really thought about. Linking back to my previous video, it's super important that you build that network, you find your people, because it will help you be a better writer. Okay, so I think that moving forward, now that we've had a year of me posting on YouTube, kind of blindly feeling my way through the minefield that is YouTube and creating videos and trying to get them out to people, I think maybe it's time that I start throwing in a bit of a mix of videos, because of all of my videos have been very samey so far. They've been my journey and what I suggest and tips and things. And I think that maybe moving forward I might throw some different ones in there. I'm toying with the idea currently of looking at existing media and how they structured the narrative and how they build characters and all that sort of stuff, because I love film, game and obviously books, and so I think it would be nice if I start throwing in some videos where maybe I analyse other people's work and how effective it is and what lessons I learned from them, rather than just telling you what I've learned. Maybe start to show you the process of how I learn it in the first place from the media that I consume, not just like from my workshops and my collab groups, etc. So yeah, I think that I might do that. If you've got any ideas for games or novels or films that you'd like me to do a commentary on, looking at the character, structure, language, all that sort of thing, then just pop it in the comments below. I've already got some ideas in the back of my head, but if you've got anything you would like me to see me talk about, then just pop it in the comments below. But yeah, thank you very much. I will see you guys next time. Right, thanks. Bye. The box, everybody.
Nearly 12 o'clock. What time do you bleeding call this, eh?
At least the bin man down there has let me finish my tea while it's warm for once, eh? Honestly. Portion sizes. Get my teeth back in. He barks at everything. Oh, you started it. Fat looking down. I don't think I was said by golly when I was young.